www.cleanwaterwater.gov. Today, the committee will receive testimony from a number of perspectives on the Clean Water Act and its impacts over the last 50 years. When Congress enacted this law in 1972, it recognized that the nation's waterways were in crisis, and for too long, we had neglected our moral and financial responsibility to keep our waterways clean and safe. In 1972, only 1/3 of the nation's water met water quality goals, and through the investments in clean water infrastructure, such as the historic clean water funding in bipartisan infrastructure law and the rigorous science-based water quality protection, we have made significant improvements. However, the job is not done. Today, 50 years later, we have failed to achieve the Act's goal of making the waters, all waters, both fishable and swimmable, with 1/3 of our waters remaining impaired. Failing to meet these quality standard goals does not mean that the Act has been a failure. Far from it. New investments in the water treatment and enforcing water quality standards mean that more and more waterways will continue to improve. For example, thanks to the federal clean water investments and local support, local water bodies, such as the Anacostia River in the nation's capital, once described as the most polluted river in the United States, may be swimmable and fishable within the next few years. In California, I have supported the Los Angeles River Revitalization Plan and improvements to the San Gabriel River. Because of the collaborative work between locals, the state of California, and the federal government, we have affirmed the Los Angeles River as protected. Navigable waterway under the Clean Water Act over a decade ago. Work continues on environmental restoration of the Los Angeles River. Many of today's witnesses have years of experience in working to protect waterways and provide for public health and safety. We will hear how they work both at the state level as well as locally to meet the goals and objectives of the Clean Water Act to restore and maintain the chemical, physical, and biological integrity of the nation's water. Under the Clean Water Act, the states play a critical role in co-administering the law and taking a lead role in protecting both locally and important waters, as well as the health of upstream and downstream waters from neighboring states. This federal and state partnership has been a success for the last 50 years, and it also has been the foundation to the improvements in our nation's water quality. States also play a critical role in managing the Clean Water Act state revolving funds that provide investments for the construction of water treatment projects. From 1972 to the present, the federal government has invested over $100 billion in construction of sewage treatment plants, both in grants and through the Clean Water SRF program. When the Clean Water Act was enacted, these clean water infrastructure investments were the largest non-military public works programs in the interstate highway system. Yet, because the investments are often out of sight and therefore out of mind, we often forget about the water infrastructure investments until there's a problem or crisis, such as we recently seen in Jackson, Mississippi. Earlier this year, Congress passed the Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which provided an additional $11.7 billion over the next 5 years for the Clean Water SRF, as well as an additional $1 billion specifically to address emerging contaminants. These investments make a big difference to clean up waterways and for public safety, as well as anything else that comes along. We will hear testimony today on their impacts. We'll also hear about the important work of ensuring that all communities, including tribal nations, benefit from the protections of the Clean Water Act. For too much of our nation's history, disadvantaged communities are the front lines of pollution and contamination. Environmental justice can take many forms and impacts many different communities. Today also marks a reflection point of the importance of the Federal Partnership and Leadership Act in protecting our nation's health, its economy, and the health of a water-based environment. In the past 2 years, the Biden administration has taken steady, scientifically based actions to restore the bedrock environment laws that protect our water, our air, our environment, and our health. And as I've said numerous times before, the previous administration ignored the bipartisan traditions of presidents dating back to President Ronald Reagan in seeking to roll back Clean Water Act protections. Fortunately, most of his decisions were quickly overturned by federal courts as fundamentally flawed or in violation of federal law, and those that were not are being revisited by the current administration. However, when the past few years have shown is that the leadership matters, the successes we have fought for over the past 50 years need to be constantly protected and extended. That is the text for the next 50 years. I want to welcome all our witnesses here this morning, and I am grateful for your willingness to share your views and your perspectives on the last 50 years of the Clean Water Act. I now yield to my great partner and great ranking member, Mr. Rouse, for any comments and thoughts he might have on the matter.
Well, thank you, Chair Napolitano, and I appreciate